Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever episode of Married Now Widowed. We're your hosts. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nadine, and this podcast is about navigating life after loss through unfiltered conversations.
Yes, and I'm so excited to be here
So excited.
and we're finally doing it. It's been in the talks for a year?
Yep.
More than? Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
So I think this episode, let's tell everyone how we met, why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
talk about how we met.
Yeah.
So we have a mutual friend, Lana.
Yes, shout out to Lana.
Yes.
Yep.
So I had followed you or we had followed each other, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah.
But we hadn't really met or knew each
never.
other.
Had never spoken. Yeah.
No. And I saw, what had happened to, you and your husband.
Yeah.
And I think I reached out to Lana, or I had seen her, and I asked about you.
Yeah.
And Lana was like, you should reach out to her. It'll be good for both of you.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, but I didn't want to overstep, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's awkward reaching out when you don't know the person in a normal circumstance.
Right, exactly.
So considering that my husband had just passed away,
Exactly.
it's even more
That's
awkward.
right.
Yeah.
And I knew what kind of state you would be in, right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to overstep.
Yeah.
And then Lana was like, I'll have a chat with her.
Yeah.
And anyway, she didn't get around to doing
Yeah.
it. And then we were texting and she was like, babe, just reach out to
Yeah.
her, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And then that's when I messaged
DM'd
you. Yeah, I
yeah.
DM'd you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
And if you ever need somebody to speak to,
Yeah.
I know you've got a lot of support, family, friends, but just sometimes it's good to speak to somebody who is outside of your circle.
Of course. Yeah.
A, and B, somebody who's gone through it,
That's
right?
the biggest thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I sent you the message and then you responded and you were like, oh my God, I've never met anybody at this age that has gone through something this. Yeah. And then we just hit it off from there.
I know, it was crazy. Yeah. We had one phone conversation one night for all our conversations, minimum an hour and a half.
Hours.
Yeah. And it was good because, there obviously are widows out there, but it's the younger you are, I think the less and less common it is. I know you said that you know a few widows, but I personally do not know any that are even in our age bracket, you know?
Well, I only have met
since.
Yeah.
I get you.
It hasn't been when I was younger, maybe there would be an older family friend who had lost her husband.
Yeah.
I was young at the time and they were probably young, but to me they were old, right?
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
And so now it's I've met a lot of widows who are in our age group.
You know, I still haven't.
At all.
No. Wow. Oh, well, I hope I don't say that and I've met someone and I've forgotten about it. But I don't think so. Not in our age group.
Yeah.
I've heard stories because I think obviously when something like this happens to you, everyone tries to relate and share their stories and stuff. So I think I've heard stories about other widows being similar age, but I don't think I know any. You're the only one that I know.
Yeah.
That's close to my age. So so that's how we met. And it's been the best thing ever because, and I always say this, for me, you've been super beneficial because you're a year ahead of me always. So everything that I'm thinking about going through or worried about going through, you've already done it. So you can offer some really good advice for that. So that's been helpful.
And I remember, and we'll touch base on this later on, but remember I used to tell you just wait for that 1 year mark.
Yeah, you used to say a lot of things that I didn't understand at the time, but I think, because we got along so well on not just mutual grounds level. I think we just get along naturally, our personalities. So I think that was helpful because it sort of starts that trust building and it's okay, she's my type of girl.
Yeah.
We are very similar. So I'm going to trust her advice and her opinions. Whereas if you're sort of, let's just use a random example, like my grandmother, for instance, right? She's a widow, but her advice is very different to mine, right?
Yeah.
I actually remember when my husband first, like my grandmother's a very strong lady. She's your typical Greek, old, tough woman, raised like all these kids and whatever. And I remember she was like to me, you can, like she saw me at the cemetery one time. She was visiting my husband too. And she was like to me, you cannot come here every day. You need to stop coming, you know, so they've got very different advice to what like someone like you would have for me.
Definitely. Or what we were doing, like
100%. Yeah.
Going to the cemetery.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's good to have someone that's on your level totally.
Definitely.
When it comes to that stuff.
But I also think like who meets new people who makes new
nobody
friends? Like
nobody.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't it's rare. I don't go out there going, I want to make new friends.
And I think as well, unfortunately, in this day and age, people are super hesitant in being able to trust new people as well. So it's like you just, look, you've got your friends and you don't have any new openings.
That's right.
Like
exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
But let's say you do meet someone, right? Like it doesn't, you meet somebody and you're not going to, oh yeah, I trust this person fully and you know, I'm going to, you know, let the walls down.
100%.
No, it's like a process, right?
But I think what happened with us was like the opposite because it was like
it's like
super
we had
vulnerable.
Skipped all of those steps.
Yeah, that building. Yeah.
And we just went from literally 0 to 100.
100%. And thank God that you're the type of person I can do that with and I'm the type of person that you can do that with because I think there's a lot of people that you probably couldn't, and if you did, you'd probably make a mistake.
100%. But I also believe that what we went through, what we have both been through, just sped up that process.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, of course it did.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. We were talking about the craziest things. We hadn't even met. I remember some things I was asking you on that floor in that room and I'm like, I don't even know her, but I'm just going to talk about it. So yeah. So that's how this friendship started. But
I think we've both helped each other, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I've helped you. I know you've helped me massively.
No, you definitely have.
I'm
because
glad.
like everyone's grief journey is quite different. And
absolutely.
My grief journey, I'm ahead of you in that. However, like it comes in stages. So it's not, you know, I might be experiencing a certain emotion or a certain feeling that you might not have or you had, but you're past that and you can relate to me in that way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Because like grief, there's no one hands you a book and says, hey, this is how you have to grieve. You know
what? I read something online that was so true. So you know how everyone talks about the 7 stages of grief and we'll go into that in another episode in more detail. But I read something that said, I'm not going to do the quote any justice, but it was along the lines of like, yes, everyone talks about the stages, but nobody says that they happen like all in one day. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's so true, right? It's not like textbook, like, okay, today I'm angry and then next week I'm going to be hurt and then I'm going to it's like one day of everything and 100%. Then 2 weeks of nothing and then 4 weeks of like, it's just crazy.
Definitely.
It's crazy. And it's very hard to understand if you haven't gone through it, you know. And I think also it really does depend on your relationship to the person, right? So I'm going to grieve differently to say someone that's lost their sibling or lost their child or etc. Everyone. So we have just so much in common.
We do.
Yeah. And also what they like, how we lost them as well. Like there's just so many like common grounds.
Similarities. So,
And I think like with this podcast, really, we just talk for so long about so many topics and there's so there.
100%.
Right?
Because I feel like, you know, if we can use this platform to connect with other people who have gone through it or are going through it.
Yeah, other widows,
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, maybe not just widows, like maybe, you know, just people who have you know, experienced loss.
Absolutely.
And, you know, don't know how to deal with certain situations.
100%.
I think that would be very, very beneficial.
Yeah, I agree.
I also feel like, you know, being a widow, there's just so much that people don't speak about.
Of course, yeah.
The challenges that widows go through. It's just not spoken about enough, right?
I agree. There's a lot that people don't even consider. They don't even think about.
No.
You know what I mean? Little things. And I think as well, it would be great to sort of bring awareness to different topics as well, right? So our husbands both passed away from cancer. Mick's was rare, wasn't it, as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so my husband's was rare too, and I think that I would love to be able to bring awareness to rare diseases, you know, because obviously a lot of the research and the funds are allocated to your big common disease. Yeah, like breast cancer. And that's great. Obviously we need it because the majority of people are suffering from those illnesses. But, you know, there's not a lot of support and research and, you know, funds available to people that have family rare or cancers. Friends that are going through, or even themselves that are going through a really rare type of cancer. And I think that's really unfortunate because once you're in it, you're like, well, who helps me then? Do you know what I mean? I don't have billions of dollars to throw in to research something and the doctor's giving me a timeline of 6 months. Right. So what are we going to do here?
And I also feel like America's a little bit ahead of that in terms
so is
of
the
rare
UK.
Cancers. Yeah. So like Mick's cancer, he was diagnosed with appendiceal cancer.
Yeah.
That's where it originated, right? In his appendix. And like, you know, I'll go online and I'll have a look at like different, you know, organizations or charities.
Yeah.
And they're all in America.
Yeah.
And I'm following this page, PMP Cancer, and that's in America. And the things that they do to bring awareness to that type of cancer is mammoth, right?
Really?
Yeah. And then it's like, if you want to participate, I'm participating, but am I raising funds to the organization in America?
Yeah.
And that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But what is it doing for us here in Australia?
Of course, absolutely. I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, 100%. And I remember as well, you're right, America is more advanced. I mean, I think they're more advanced than us in general.
Yeah.
And same with the UK. A lot of Mohammed had clear cell sarcoma, and a lot of the sarcoma specialists were in the UK. And I only really knew that because my family live in the UK.
Yeah.
So they were able to sort of help me be in touch with professors and specialists over there. And there was so much more opportunity available. But I mean, that's really hard for a family if you've got your specialist here telling you, okay, you've got like 6 months to sort it out, otherwise you're going to die.
Exactly.
And the UK is how many hours away? It costs how much money to get there? You can't even, it's not what we think either. Like I remember calling and I'm like, hey, can I talk to professor? And they're like, no, like you can't just talk to the professor. And I'm like, but no, like my husband's like, you know, they're telling me he's dying. I really need to speak to someone. They're like, oh, do you even live here? You're not even part of our healthcare. Like there's so much to it, you know? So that's why, like, I mean, apart from connecting with other widows and sharing our story and helping other people through their grief journey, whether they're a widow or not,
of course,
I'd love to be able to raise awareness for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And also, you know, maybe even help people that are in it themselves, like going through it themselves.
Of course.
I think I gained
prior to like, you know, them passing or,
absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like,
I think I don't know, I'm probably the same for Mick, but I think for me, my husband gave me so much knowledge as to like 100%. What is he going through, what is he thinking, what's he feeling, what's he like. There was so much. So yeah, it's really interesting. So I hope that that's what we can do on this platform. Definitely. That's what we're setting out to achieve anyway. Definitely. Yeah. I want to know how you met your husband.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to know. I think that's a cool way.
Are we going to get into that?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I want to know because you guys were together for what? Ages?
We were married for 12 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. It's over a decade. Yeah, so I want to know.
Okay, so we met through my brother, my eldest brother.
Okay.
Him and Mick were friends. They own Subways and we're getting into business together.
Yeah.
And one day he said, oh, you know, I've got Lebanese friends because my brother's like, or especially this one anyway, he like hardly had any Lebanese friends, right?
Oh, okay.
So he was like so proud, like, oh, I've met these Lebos, you know, I've got Lebanese friends. And I'm like, yeah, all right, man. And he's like, no, seriously. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then he invited me over one day to watch the football.
Yeah.
Probably because I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
And so he had his friends over and he introduced me to them and Mick was there. And then you know, we watched the footy. We were just hanging out, and then I was going to dinner with my brother one night.
Yeah.
Like, we were going to go have dinner.
Yeah.
And so that day, my brother said to me, "Don't you have anyone that, like, you know, we can set Mick up with?"
Oh, for Mick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because Mick was 16 years older than me, right?
Okay. Yeah. So he was ready to settle. He was.
Yeah, that's right. So my brother's like, "Oh, don't you have anyone?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think I do."
Okay.
I have like a friend.
Yeah.
Well, she's like a friend of a friend.
Yeah, an acquaintance. Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like why don't we all go out to dinner then?" And I'm like, "Okay, no worries, like I'll organize it."
Yeah.
So we all went out to dinner, and then you know, we were going back and forth. My brother was traveling a lot, and I had his house keys, and he was like, "You've got my house keys, like why don't you call him, call her, call your friends, come over, like get them to me." And then it got to a point where my brother was like, "Look, this is her number, like just call her, like enough of us kind of arranging and interfering. Yeah, like you now, you know, put your big boy pants on and like do it." And then all of a sudden, he was just messaging me.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, he never really contacted her, and like nothing happened between them, right?
So they didn't have a one-on-one date after. It was just all you guys setting things up.
Nothing at all. They never spoke over the phone. They were literally just meeting in
groups.
Yeah, in like group settings.
Right.
Wasn't that often. It was it was only maybe like twice.
Okay, so it wasn't really like full steam ahead or anything.
No,
No,
not at all.
Yeah.
But he was just texting me and I was just like, what's going on here?
Yep.
And then I don't know, like what is that?
So hold on. What happened to the other girl?
So
she's like, I don't know. We just got married. I don't know.
No. So the other girl, she was a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And at that time we were hanging out heaps. Isn't doing my case.
Yeah.
Any justice. Isn't helping me. Anyway. Listen. I married him at the end of the day.
Exactly, and it went really well.
Yeah. So I knew I had to like, you know, tell her, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And at the time,
so you still had to tell her though, even though like they'd only met twice?
Well,
in a group?
I feel like maybe it was the respectful thing to do because even though it was only twice or however many times that they met, like she kind of knew that like we were trying to sort something out. So I'm not going to be like, oh, hey.
When
like,
you put it that way, I get it. It's
I'm
like,
trying to set
what
you
happened?
up,
I
but
thought
then,
we were.
you know, like I end up marrying him. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So you told,
So
you told,
and at the same time, when we were when he was texting me and stuff, it wasn't like anything like serious at the time.
You didn't even know you was going to.
No, it was just like a friend thing.
But there was a vibe, like something was happening.
Definitely,
yeah.
And then I don't know, one thing led to another, and then you know we were speaking, and he was like, look, like I really want to take things serious. And I said, okay, well, we need to speak to my brother, like first and foremost.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So
hold on, sorry. Yep. But what did the friend say?
Yeah.
Was she cool?
No. So
she wasn't. Okay.
So he told my brother, and then at that point I thought, okay, things are going serious. I need to say something.
Yeah.
So I end up like meeting her and
you met up with her.
Well, yeah, I just thought it was a respectful thing to do. Yeah. So oh my God, I sound like such a whore.
No, you don't. I mean, nothing happened with them anyway, though. They weren't dating.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. They didn't even go on a one-on-one date, babe. It was a few group settings. Yeah.
Anyway, so I met up with her and I just said, hey, like, you know, I need to speak to you. And at this point, babe, it was like 4 months. She hadn't heard from him. Okay. So in 4 months, if you hadn't heard from him,
it's obviously not.
It's obviously
not much is happening.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I can't remember the exact timeline, but there was even a point where him and I weren't speaking at that point. Yeah, and she still hadn't heard from him. So it was like. There was nothing really there. Nothing happened. Yeah. Like you knew that he had your number or whatever. And you just didn't make contact. Yeah. Anyway, so then I just sat her down and I said, look, like, you know, things have just, you know, evolved between Mick and I. Like we were just like we were friends and things have developed and, you know, I just want to let you know. Yeah. And she was really pissed off at me.
Oh.
Yep.
That's not the ending I expected.
No, really angry at me. Yeah. What? Like we had a fight. But I'll tell you why we had a fight. We didn't have a fight. Well, to my knowledge, we didn't have a fight because she thought like I took him away from her or anything like that. She had a fight because she thought that I knew he wasn't interested and I didn't tell her. Okay. Which I didn't know at the time. Yeah. Like I stand by that. Like I didn't know he wasn't interested. Yeah. And there were times where both my brother and I would ask him, we would say, oh, like what's going on? Have you spoken to her? Have you not spoken to her? And he's like, oh, I'm just like dealing with like I've just got a bit of work issues. Can I just also
say if you're setting someone up with someone else, like it's not really your business if they're interested or not. Like you do the groundwork and then you leave it. You don't force one side, you don't force another, and you don't get involved. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. If you guys like each other, cool. If you don't, also cool, you know?
That's right. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was really angry at me.
Okay. Sorry, I just wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I
think it's not that big of a deal. It's not like they were dating. It's not like they went out.
I get a little bit of getting cut, like, oh damn, like he liked her, like didn't like me, but like who cares?
But you know what I wouldn't get the shits at you for that. Maybe I'd be frustrated at the situation.
Yeah. Or you'd feel maybe a little bit down, like about yourself, whatever. But you just get over it. Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't be upset with you.
I mean, I wouldn't fight.
I'd be so happy for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, we did end up eventually sorting things out.
Oh, good.
She was at my engagement.
No way.
She came to my wedding.
Oh, I love that.
Good sport.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, that's really good then. Yeah. That's cool. That's funny. Yeah.
But there's like an ongoing joke that people, I think you've mentioned it to me before.
Me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
What's the joke?
What did you say to me?
Me?
Yeah.
But I didn't know about this.
No, but we were...
What? What have I done?
You haven't done anything.
Oh my God, what? No, you got to say it now.
No.
Say it.
Like, say it now.
Why? What is it? Me, I made a joke about it.
I think you did.
But I didn't even know about it.
So you made a joke about No, you didn't know about it, but I think in a passing conversation, I think I said something to you about it. I didn't give you details. I think at the time said something.
What did I say? And you were like,
wow, don't ever get her to say
Oh, yeah, that I'm happy to.
Tell everyone what you said.
What? I just said don't get Nadine to set you up with someone because she might end up marrying them and having kids and then they're up.
But you're not a lot of my friends say that. They're like, don't.
But this has only happened once in your defense.
Yeah.
What? Sure. Come on.
Yeah, only once.
Okay. You better be truthful because someone will DM and they'll be like, she's a liar.
She's full of shit.
She did this to my...
Listen, at the end of the day, if I set him up with somebody and I'm like, why would I set somebody up with someone if I like them? Like that would be a dumb thing to do,
that's
right?
Well, you'd be doing yourself a disservice.
What if he ended up liking that person?
You'd get cut.
I would get so cut.
No, I get that.
So clearly things
there's no malice
just
intention.
evolved and developed out of anyone's control.
You know, like at least you ended up getting married and you're with him for over
it wasn't
a decade.
Like a fling or anything like that.
Like
we got married.
That's it. It was meant to be.
For 12 years. We had 2 children.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
I know it was meant to be.
That's my story.
All right, I love that. That was good.
Tell me your story.
Okay, so my husband had an air conditioning company. And so this is really random. My mum actually knew Mohammed for I think actually a decade before I did, before I had ever met him.
A decade?
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was about 10 years because my mum's ex-husband was in the building industry and Mohammed, my husband, owned an air conditioning company. Right. So they knew each other through that way. And I think they used to do like jobs together and whatnot. Yep. So what happened was when I was fitting out my shop, my mum was like, oh, there's, this guy that we use, you should use him, blah, blah. And prior to that, my mum had mentioned a cute aircon boy. Oh, okay. She's like, really cute aircon boy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm not getting set up with anyone by my mum, right? No way.
Out of all people, your mum.
No, I'm not. It's not happening. So I was like, okay, mum, whatever, eye roll, whatever. And
eye roll?
Yeah, eye roll. I was like, leave me alone, leave me out of this. So what ended up happening was I was like, yep, cool, get him to do the job, no probs. He, I don't think he did the job. I think maybe someone else did it for him, and he was just overseeing it. When it was all done and installed, I'm just sometimes can be dumb. I went to use it. No, I can, babe, so dumb. I went to use it and I couldn't turn it on. How can you, babe? There's an on button. What do you mean you can't turn it on?
Babe, couldn't
figure it out.
Button?
I'll tell you what it was in the end. I'm pretty sure I had it on heating, not cooling. So I'm sweating in the shop. I'm like, this bloke's done a terrible job.
Have you never used an aircon, babe?
Clearly not. No, not really, babe. I lived in my mum's house. Like I don't know. Yeah. Right? So anyway, I text the number. I assume it's a work number. I'm like, hey, so sorry to bother you. You guys did my aircon. My name's Kayla. It's not working. He didn't respond. I didn't know he was getting surgery done, right? Oh. So he messaged me that afternoon. He's like, so sorry, just came out of surgery. Yeah. I'll come and have a look at it for you. Anyway, he came and had a look and there was like, a bit of like flirty chemistry, like just whatever, And then honestly, babe, from that day on, we just did not stop talking. We just didn't stop talking.
Had you seen him prior to this? Never.
Nope, not even a photo.
So you know how like your mum was saying, oh, there's a cute, nothing.
Zero.
Wow.
Zero. I had never ever seen him. I don't know. They did do like a few breakfasts
and
stuff together.
Do you reckon that your mum like told him about you?
For sure. Probably. Yeah. I would say. Because you know what? If you're a mum, this was the type of guy that you would want for your daughter. Like he, earned an honest living, hard worker. He was, just a normal, like great guy, charismatic. He was good. Like he's the type of, if you meet him like as a young guy, you're like, I'd like you for my daughter. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm sure my mum did sneak little things in. I'll have to ask her actually. But it was fantastic because they had a great relationship already. So that was really good.
That's amazing.
So it was just from then on, he would message me and I'll never forget. I didn't tell my mum anything. I didn't tell my mum I was speaking to him or anything. And then she knew quite a lot about him. And my husband loved jet skis. He had a jet ski. He'd always go in the summer. And it was summer at the time and he messaged me. He's like, let me take you out on the jet ski tomorrow. Blah, blah. I'm like, no way, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I ended up giving in, went on the jet ski. And my mum's like to me, she was just talking. I go, I'm just out jet skiing. She's like, jet skiing?
You didn't tell her?
No, I didn't tell her because I'm like super private, especially when it's like, I don't know what
Fresh
it is.
Fresh at the beginning. You don't know what's going on. Yeah.
And then like, I remember a few days later, she's like, I know you went jet skiing with Mohammed. And I was like, maybe. No, I didn't. Yeah. And then it just all started.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you end up having to pay for the aircon?
You know what? The poor guy, I didn't. And it was such a big job. It was a huge job.
That's so and sweet.
It's actually quite funny because I remember his brother who worked with him at the time. I remember him telling me like after like we had gotten married and, it was family and whatever. And he was like, me and like the other guy were always thinking like, why isn't he getting her to pay this invoice? Like we have this outstanding invoice and every time we'd bring it up, like, do you want us to say,
don't worry about
it. Just leave it. My husband was really private too. So he'd never actually say like, we're speaking with it. Just leave it. Just leave it,
Because when you think about it, what was he going to do?
Oh, he was screwed. Like the poor guy.
Like
and he always used to say to me.
And then at the same time
you can't. Here's your bill. You can't do that. And you know what?
Hey, by the way, there's an outstanding invoice
imagine
that you need to pay.
No. And like, it was just funny because he was always like, should have invoiced you before
I
took
love
you on
that.
jet
Yeah.
I would have asked for a refund. So yeah, it was good. I like it. I love that story because like, you know, you always hear like we met at work, blah, blah, blah. We actually did. It was nice.
Cute.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. And then it was just history. From then on out, it was just every single day. It became a part of the furniture.
How long were you together for?
Oh, this is such a hard question. You know why this is hard? Because I keep counting. Like it sounds really weird.
Oh my
God.
God.
In my head, I'm like,
I know.
Oh, now like every year, even though he's not here, I still count. Oh, we've been together for X amount of years.
Totally get it.
I just keep going,
I'm like,
right?
oh, it's my 15-year wedding anniversary next month.
You just keep counting. Whereas I think like obviously.
Years. I said to my cousin the other day, like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I would have been married for 15 years.
To be honest, in this day and age, 12 years that you guys were is pretty amazing though, because you don't see it often, unfortunately. I feel like, you know, I mean, the rate of divorce is crazy at the moment. But 12 years is impressive. I'm impressed. Anyone that's like our age group that's been with their partner for more than 10, I'm like, whoa, what's your secret?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But also like, going back to you saying like you keep count, I get that because I know that coming up is my like 15-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
But then I have to count backwards.
Yeah.
To like when he passed.
Yeah.
The year he passed.
Yeah. When
and
people
how
ask
long,
you, right?
How long I was married for. Do you know what I mean?
Know, it is weird. It's weird. So I always mix everything up. Like I'm like, how long? One thing I do know, this is the only figure I have, is that
so you still don't know how long you were together for?
I know we were, so I think we were together for a year and a half before we got engaged.
Okay.
I know that much. I'm pretty sure it was a year and a half because, I just remember that. And then married, like, I think it was 2000 and maybe 19.
Okay.
I think 19.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I cannot. I have to. It's something I need to actually work back, sit and think about.
And
because
get the timeline.
I just keep carrying on. Yeah. So I don't know when it was, but I know we were together for about a year and a half before we got married.
Engaged.
And by that time, engaged. And by that time, I was just part of the furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ever went to his house to meet his family.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing, right? So I was like really nervous to meet his family because, babe, like, there's 6 of them, 6 siblings. That's crazy, right? 6 siblings versus me on my own. That was
boys
wild.
and girls, right?
A mum and a dad. Yeah, boys. Yeah. That's a lot for a barbecue. That's a lot. Okay. Anyway,
wait, were you going on your own or were you taking your mum?
On my own. Oh, imagine that. Imagine
not even a friend.
Not even a phone a friend. No, nothing. That's like. Do you know? I remember. Hold on.
That's like.
You know when I was going there?
Bury me.
Yeah, babe. I went to a Lebanese sweets shop to get sweets to bring. I was on the phone to my best friend, Mia. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to cancel. I can't. How am I going to walk into that house with 8 people staring at me?
Everyone's staring at
everyone's judging me. This is the big judgment. Do we like his girlfriend or not, right? It's huge. Anyway, I will never forget this. Went there, babe. I reckon I got there at, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I did not leave till like 10:30 at night.
Wow. So it went well.
Oh, well is an understatement.
Oh, that's good.
It was like, and then I'm telling you, I kid you not.
Yeah.
I was there every single day after that day. Every single day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I never left.
So you literally became a part of the family from the beginning.
Wild. Yeah. Oh, right in there.
I
didn't
love
leave.
that.
Did not leave again.
Yeah.
I used to go there like he wasn't
even
there.
If he wasn't there.
Yeah. Like it wasn't about coming to see your partner. No. It was sisters at home, tea, coffee, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was good. That initial that first meet was.
Well, that's good because in my situation it was just a bit young for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't blame them, hun.
Twice?
16, what was it? 16 years.
16 years.
It's a lot, babe.
So when he told his brother, I hadn't met anyone from his family.
What does he have siblings?
Yeah, just boys. So another like boys. 3 boys.
Brothers, cool.
But they were married.
Oh, okay.
So when he told his brother, they were in Queensland, Brisbane, somewhere.
Yeah.
And he said, I met someone. And he was like, oh, okay, yep, no worries. He's like, did you want to go ask for her hand?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, okay, how old is she? And then, no, he said, who is she?
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, Tam's sister.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, okay. How old is she? And then he goes, oh, she's 21.
And how old was he?
16 years.
What's that?
What's that, 36? Is that 36?
I don't know. I can't do math.
35, 36.
36. Okay, cool. That's funny.
And then his brother was like, isn't she a bit young?
I mean, fair question, brother. It's fair. It is fair.
Oh, but now like his brothers are my best friends. So
no, but you know, initially like I'd say the same thing too. But then like, I don't know, sometimes you really don't feel the age gap. And I feel like when the girl is younger, it's different. When you have a guy that's younger, no offense, boys.
But I also feel like, and like you, right? Like most of your friends are older.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
So I had like my group of like high school friends.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I was working as well at like 14.
So you had made,
and so I had like all of that group of friends who were older than me. Yeah. And even in high school, I would hang out with like the older girls or like my cousins and her friends, and you know what I mean? So
well, my husband was 10 years older than me.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
10, 16. Yeah. Joking.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, so, and my husband didn't like look his age, didn't act his age.
That is
I remember my mum, babe, like when I was telling my mum, I was like, oh, you know, this is how old he is. My mum was like, no, get him out of your head.
Oh, no
and I'm
way.
Like, yeah. And I was like, but why? And she's like, no, get him out of your head. Anyway, so then she finally meets him. Mm-hmm. And then she even said to me once when we were like bringing him to meet my grandparents. Yeah. She said, and the rest of the family. Yeah. She said, don't tell anybody his age because when they meet him, his age becomes irrelevant. Yeah. She's just worried about people judging the fact that he was 16 years older
But that was a good, I like that because it was like meet him first, fall in love, and then when we tell you his age, you're not going to care.
You're not going to care because you love him, you know? Yeah. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I like that.
And now his brother, like, you know, his brother's like my best friend loves me, you know. But I remember at the time, like he goes, oh, my brother's a bit concerned about the age. Or was like,
fair.
You know,
it is.
Isn't she a bit young for you?
Yeah. But you know what? I don't blame him. If I had a
and then
sibling,
people talking shit about me, saying things like, oh, she's a gold digger because she's marrying an older man. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
No, you can't.
No.
But no, that's okay. That's all worked out. So everyone has to eat their words now because 12 years later, 2 beautiful children later, and it all worked out. So yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, let's wrap up this episode. Bit of an intro, bit of a get to know us. Yeah. Our next episodes, again, I can't wait for them. I can't wait to dive deeper into like all the topics that we want to talk about. Definitely. And obviously we have so many things that we want to speak on. But if you guys have anything that you want to hear about, like from a widow's perspective, or even like if you are a widow out there and you want advice on something, or you just want to know our take on everything, you know what? We've always said this between us. We are not therapists, we're not psychologists,
counselors.
Our advice is not necessarily the right advice, but it's just what works for us,
and
right?
it's what we've gone through it.
That's exactly
like we've
right.
Experienced this
we can only speak on like our experiences and
definitely.
our like what we've done, what has worked, what hasn't worked. So we're not trained therapists, but we are just going to give our advice anyway. And if you want to listen to it, you can.
Yeah.
So send us in anything that you want to know. If you want to hear about something, let us know. Yeah. We will be out on all platforms, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok,
YouTube,
the Gram, all of that. Married Now Widowed, and we will see you next week for another episode. All right, bye guys.
Bye.